racing games to sim racing and finally to real life and buying my own race car. This video is all about my first experience owning a car and testing it for the first time on track.
5 years ago, this was my sim racing setup. Living in Brazil, I had zero money to buy fancy sim racing equipment. But I focused on learning as much as I could with books, coaching, articles, and whatever was available back then on the internet. And I got good. Back then, I was growing as a professional classical pianist, and sim racing was just a hobby. Then, I moved to Canada to do my master's degree in piano, but I also did not have the money to pay for the university tuition. So I started doing coaching in sim racing. And this is how my life completely changed. I realized I was very good at coaching and people started talking about it. In just a few months, I found myself doing 40 coaching sessions a week. It kind of got out of control. So I decided to catalog all the techniques and concepts I've created about driving and made an online course, the Motor Racing Checklist. Then I wrote a book. And then I exploded. My coaching skills were so good that I abandoned 16 years of piano career to focus 100% on racing. And after 3,000 drivers trusted my work, I've made enough money to have a shot in real racing. So I decided to buy a brand new Radical SR3 to compete at the North American Radical Cup, which will be the most difficult championship yet in my career. But what is a Radical race car?
Radical Motorsports has been around for over 25 years. We've built over 3,000 race cars. Radicals are sold in 35 countries around the world, also raced in Radical Cup racing series globally as well. The Radical SR3 is extremely thrilling to drive. It's a very visceral driving experience in it. Lots of G-forces. It handles extremely well, it brakes extremely well, so it's got incredible performance. But also the car is relatively affordable to buy and also to run. Performance per dollar, nothing's better than a Radical SR3. Radical has developed a number of drivers over the years, drivers who've started out in Radicals and then have gone on to race at the 24 Hours Le Mans, 24 Hours Daytona, 12 Hours of Sebring, a lot of the great races. Radical Motorsports has a strong presence in sim racing. We run a championship in iRacing for the Radical SR10. We also have cars in Assetto Corsa. We run online sim racing championships as a way for people to kind of experience the Radical in the virtual world and then hopefully transition into driving one in real life. All new Radicals are hand-built at our factory in England, and then once the car is built in the UK, we then import it into Canada. So for a car like Suellio's, the car was, went from being in the UK, we air freighted it to Canada, and then had it ready for him almost immediately. We're very excited to have Suellio racing a Radical this year, and from what I've seen in testing, I think he's going to be super competitive. So yeah, we're looking forward to a really successful season.
When I bought the car, it looked like this. Because I still don't have any major sponsor, I decided to put it in the colors of my brand, since it was you guys, my students, who made this happen. And this guy is in charge of it.
I'm here wrapping Suellio's brand new Radical SR3 XXR. It's going a beautiful, tasteful livery in the chrome gold and black. Right now I've probably got about 35 hours into it and we're almost finished up. This one's especially a little fun because it's got the brand new bi-wing. Wrapping the Radicals are certainly a different element of wrap. They're a lot curvier, a lot more angles, a lot more body panels, and you gotta make sure that the wrap's really on there so it doesn't fly off during the race. This wrap especially is an extra challenge being the chrome gold, one of the hardest films to work with, but we're pulling it off beautifully. I had the pleasure of working with Suellio to design this wrap. He's going for a part Ri-Spec theme, but within his own company branding. This car actually started out as white, and really you can only tell within all the little crevices of the joints and the seams. But that's part of the beauty of wrapping the Radicals, is I get the pleasure of making sure it's wrapped up to my standards, and every little piece is wrapped properly.
Now it's time to actually put it on track. To properly prepare to my first round of the championship, my team Ri-Spec wanted to make sure that I had the right amount of testing to get the car right. So we went to 2 racetracks, Carolina Motorsports Park and Barber Motorsports Park. And here's how it went.
So one thing we're going to do today is actually break in the engine, which is a procedure that you have to do when the engine is brand new. I'm going to do 1 lap with 5k RPM, then 1 lap with 8k RPM, then 1 lap with 10k RPM. And in between these laps, we're going to check the engine for leaks and everything. This is the first time I actually own a race car, so I had to read the whole manual, and this procedure is very important for you to get the engine on the right conditions and to make sure that everything is working. First session is all about welcoming the engine into the world.
This is an HPDE session. HPDE stands for High Performance Driver Education. In these kinds of sessions, you can only overtake when the car ahead gives you a signal to overtake, or what we call a point by, to avoid incidents. This is good for the drivers ahead to develop their spatial awareness and practice giving way to faster cars more safely. This ended up being perfect for me during these first laps since I was not going fast at all, so I kept giving point bys to all the cars behind to not slow down the flow of the track. As soon as I finished my 5,000 RPM lap, I came back to check the engine vitals.
Are your brakes running good? Yeah. Lamp's good. Yeah. Good.
In this procedure, I have to not only progressively increase the RPMs, but also progressively increase the braking pressure. This is because I'm also bedding in the new brakes. On this second lap, I'm doing 8,000 RPMs and medium brake pressure. Now it's finally time to send it. You probably already realized that the GoPro is pretty much aligned with this triangle on the halo and you can't really see a lot. This is actually not what I see. You would be surprised with the fact that you don't see the halo at all when you're driving. The halo magically disappears from your view because your eyes are going around the halo and you're so focused looking ahead that I don't even remember having the halo right there after I get out of the car, because you get so focused looking to the track that the halo becomes transparent to your vision. It's kind of crazy. But of course, this camera positioning will not work for the next races, so I'm gonna have to find somewhere else.
Oh, it's fucking amazing. It's the most textbook behavior you can have from a car. Off throttle, rotates more. You brake a little bit, rotates a lot. Engine braking, super predictable, the way you downshift, the way you get the car to turn or to not turn if you want to be a little bit more stable, you just don't downshift and everything. On power, half throttle, you get that understeer. On full throttle, you start to get the rotation. It's all there. You see, it's such a predictable car. It's such a raw car that really depends on your inputs fully 100%. This is the first time I actually have a molded seat. So like, this is my body here and I'm finally super tight and I can feel the car moving with me. So if you have like a molded seat, one, it's more comfortable. Two, it allows you to feel the balance of the car instantly because the pressure is spread throughout your body and you can feel everything. But I've never had that in my 2 years and a half of real life career. This is the very first time and I love it. You can even see, if you turn on the car, look at this, you can customize it with your logo and everything. This is a Radical SR3 XXR 2024. The SR3 has two different types of motors. You have the 1500cc and you have the 1340cc. So this is the 1340cc, which is a little bit slower, but the engine lasts like 100 hours of fully running on race pace. So it's a lot more reliable. It's a little bit slower, but it lasts a lot more. And because, you know, budget, I could not even think about it. I went straight to getting the 1340. You have different classes in the Radical Cup that I'm doing this year. You have the SR10s, which are super fast, and you have the SR3s, two classes. You have the 1500 class and you have the 1340 class. I'm doing the 1340 class. The main reason I was able to participate in this championship is because of the motor racing checklist. This is the materialization of the success that my online course had, and the feedback has been amazing. And I wanted to have the fully, black and gold livery that I had in my sim racing cars. It's still crazy. It's been 2 days that I'm looking and driving this car and it's still quite... Thank you, man. The reason I bought this is because this platform and this series will make me grow as much as possible in 1 year. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna find a very competitive environment. I'm gonna be definitely destroyed at the first round and then hopefully catch up throughout the year. I'm already accepting if I get a slap in my face on round 1, but I'm doing my best to prepare in every way possible to already have a good result from the round 1, which you're gonna see in our next video. One thing that really makes me feel safe is the new halo. Even though no one has ever died in a radical, like, it feels a little bit exposed when you're driving a car like that so fast. But now with the halo, there's that extra 1% of confidence to feel more comfortable while driving fast and while standing it. I'm not coming back. I love the halo now. The setup is very good. I don't feel I want to change it yet, because if I want rotation, I can really use that rotation from the engine braking, from the trail braking. If I want the car to understeer, I can use the weight transfer. It does understeer perfectly. It's super responsive, everything is working perfectly. So I don't want to mess with the setup, because right now I'm still building up the confidence. So, you know, HPDE, point bypassing, you're not fighting for position. There's not that much of a pressure. So I was in my comfort zone. This here is all about testing the car, making sure we understand how the setup works best, understand how I drive best. The seat is new, the pedal position is new, everything is new. It's a new car with absolutely no laps in it, so there's so much track time that we need to do to make sure that it's dialed in for the first round of the Radical Cup. For the next couple of sessions, I want to be a little bit more aggressive, try later braking, try a little bit of lockup. I think I'm braking too early everywhere. If I brake a little bit later, if I get a little bit more, you know, like just a little bit more aggressive into these low speed corners, I'm gonna find a lot of time.
Or maybe not. Oh, by the way, this is how cold tires behave in real life. I guess iracing was not wrong. Before we move to the gorgeous Barber Motorsports Park, here's a hot lap at Carolina Motorsports Park.
I said, it's impossible to lock up immediately. I smashed the pedal. I immediately locked the front, and it takes me a while to realize, and I paint the track. Now
did you shoot first?
I went off track.
The car's okay?
I flat spotted, vibrating a lot.
Okay.
But it worked.
Yeah, maybe less hard next time.
You know when you buy something and you're like afraid of breaking it or afraid of misusing it? That's the craziest sensation when that something is a race car. I'm like, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that, I cannot damage it, it's too expensive, take care of it. And I was just testing the car in the most progressive way possible to make sure that I get the most out of it safely, progressively, and eventually we're gonna find the speed. That's amazing. I'm living a dream.
Now it's time to test in one of the most incredible racetracks in the US, and one that is in the schedule for the championship this year, Barber Motorsports Park. And this is why this time was different. First of all, now I already know my car well. I have an idea how it feels and how it behaves. Second, I have thousands of laps on this track in the simulator. So even though this is my first time here in real life, I don't have to memorize the corners from scratch. The lap time reference here is 1 minute 29 seconds in this car. The first thing I want to do is very progressively warm up the tires and feel the track surface. And most importantly, the elevation changes, because these are big here. And although I was very confident that I was going to do well, I had no idea I was going to have the biggest breakthrough in my own real-life driving technique so far. In the first 20 minutes of driving at Barber, my lap times were 150, then 144.8, 140.3, 138.0, 136.7, 135.7, 34.7, 33.9, 33.2, 32.3, 32.1, 30.5, 30.1, 30.0, and finally 129.7.
What did Jake do?
9:29.
Oh shit! Oh fuck, dude. Good for you.
Okay. My first 20 minutes at Barber were so weird, because just like every track, when I know from the sim, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. I was aiming to be 5 seconds off the lap time reference, which was a 1:29, and on my first laps, I did a 1:29. It's the same thing in the sim. You know, like the same elevation changes, same braking references, same feel, same lines for the double apexes, for the complex corners that we have here. I'm so happy. I mean, right now, there is so much grip on the track. I know there's at least 2 seconds still, but already doing a 29 on my first session ever here was amazing. This car is just so good to drive, oh my God. I am now legit like living the dream, because I'm getting so used to the car now that I can say that's like, it feels like the car is an extension of my body, because especially with the molded seat. Now it's just about like getting even more track time and getting even more connected to my own car. Ah!
Don't ask me how this happened. In one of the test sessions, a red flag went out and I saw a lot of smoke, so I was scared at first that someone was in trouble. But as soon as I got to the accident spot, there was just fire, but no car. Apparently the dude spun his Porsche and set the grass on fire without hitting the wall. Yep. Now here's the most important lesson of the whole weekend. I kept driving throughout the day during the test session, and although the track was getting hotter and slower, I kept improving my lap times. On the next morning, when the track was cold again, I tried to get the fastest lap possible. Remember, the reference I was chasing was a 1:29, but I did this.
It's so good to drive until there's nothing left. There's no neck left, there's no shoulder left, there's nothing. Getting there. I noticed one thing, I established a safer pedal work in some sketchy areas to make sure that I don't snap. And if I do get the oversteer, it's slower by using a little bit of maintenance throttle. So instead of like just being on the brakes and then the car can become very loose, I was on the brake and then my right foot was ready to maybe do a little tiny 20% blip or so just to balance the weight.
But lap times can be deceiving. After comparing my lap times with a teammate who is a veteran in this championship with a lot more experience than me, he did a whopping 123 lap time in a 1500cc radical, which is a little bit faster, which means I should be doing at least 125s. Just by watching his onboards that I cannot show in this video, I realized that I was not using the grip at high speed corners. Why? Trust. My brain still can't believe that this car can go so fast on high speed corners due to the downforce. The G-forces that we can get on the last sector are just insane, and I need to do it more and more until I get fully comfortable with it. That alone, trusting high speed grip, should make me 1 second per lap faster. And if I don't fix this by round 1, I'm in big trouble.
Yeah, I carried a ton more speed, high speed.
With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions.
Decelerate
Even
less.
easier than choosing Charles.
The grip was there. There was more.
With no fees
I
or
was like,
minimums and no overdraft fees, is it
I just need to.
Here's the plan. Pass me the ball.
There's more grip than I believe.
This is banking
It's
reimagined.
insane.
What's in your wallet?
Like,
Terms apply. See Capital One.
yesterday and today, when I was going up 12, the car was gaining rotation at the compression. I thought it was oversteer. No, it was just grip. The biggest demon today was me thinking that I was oversteering when I was not. In some places. I thought I was losing the rear at the flat 910. 11-12 on the compression, I thought I was losing the rear. I was not. I was like just getting more rotation because of the compression. And then when I trusted it, it was such a weird sensation that the front is going more because the front gets in the compression first, and then you feel the rear just taking it too. But that sensation that like your head is here, the car suddenly points so much to the right that your head like does this. It doesn't do this, it does this because of the rotation, right? So like, fuck, I'm losing the rear, but I'm not.
You get used to it. You get used to the slip of the car, especially
Now,
with those
like,
with that wide sidewall. That'll, you know, those cars can wiggle in there still.
Especially in high speeds, right?
Yeah, high speed is because listen, when you roll through low speed, there's not as much downforce, but also there's more leeway to error because the impact of what you're doing is at a smaller scale because what you're doing is a small scale. So if you're sliding at low speed, the angle you get, you don't feel as much as if you're loaded in the corner with the same angle. So in your head the whole day you were thinking, yeah, I was getting the same angles at high speed and low speed, but it's actually not the case at all. Okay, that's why I told you, I mean, don't do it, but the analogy of me personally, if I am to drive race cars, I need to spin the car at least once to be fully comfortable in it. Otherwise, I just don't know where the car's gonna go.
This is just the beginning of 2024, and the next videos are gonna be absolutely chaotic and crazy, with tens of radicals racing hard at Sebring at the round 1 of the North American Championship. This is only possible because 3,000 of you guys trusted my work, and if you still don't have my online course and you want to drive better, watch this video until the end. Sim racing is growing more and more, and it's bringing real-life racers and sim racers together. This is making the competition level rise like I've never seen it before. So if you want to become that competitive, the secret is in the driving technique more than equipment. My professional driving technique course, the Motor Racing Checklist, already has over 3,000 drivers, including real-life drivers and professional esport drivers, just so you know how good it is. I made this course after coaching over 2,000 drivers in 1-to-1 live sessions, and it contains all the advanced concepts, techniques, and exercises that I've developed with my students over all these years of coaching. It's perfect for any simulator, racing games, and also for real-life drivers wanting to use a simulator to improve their real-life driving technique. This course is about car handling skills, and the goal is to make you find better lap times and consistency. You will learn how to prevent and induce specific behaviors and learn how to feel them earlier so you can predict what's happening with the car with professional precision. By the way, this course has a money-back guarantee with no questions asked. So if you don't improve, you get your money back. And you can join my Discord to read reviews and ask any questions. Join the course now and I will see you on track.